Hi, I'm Jamie.
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Kelly.
Stephanie's back.
Yay!
Oh my gosh, it was like you rehearsed that.
It just happens. It's, very natural.
You spend too much time with your coworkers and you're just like, stop talking. And then you say things together and you're like, no, you're in my head.
It's kind of scary sometimes. You want to reintroduce yourself to our fabulous listeners?
Who are
Stephanie?
you?
Yeah. So I'm Stephanie Craddock-Sherwood. I'm the executive director of Women Have Options, Ohio's independent abortion fund.
Yay. When you say independent, what does that mean as opposed to
associated with a clinic?
Oh,
so
okay.
we serve most of Ohio's clinics, as well as sending folks out of Ohio. Sometimes we have to do that. So, but we don't fund specifically into one clinic and only one clinic.
Like preterms fund.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Sweet.
Now we know.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Because we're not Ohio's only abortion fund. There's
Yes.
3 of us. So
That's
yeah.
very exciting.
There's preterm, and then there's the Aggie Fund, and then there's you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the Aggie Fund's in Toledo with that clinic up there.
Yep. Our sister funds. So good.
Yay. Cool. So yesterday, Congress filed impeachment papers.
For who?
Not the person you're excited about.
I know.
I know. I
I
very much enjoyed your face there.
I wanted to be a voice of hope for a second for people and then just dash them.
So no, not against, the treasonous president, but against Rod Rosenstein, the deputy director of the Justice Department, who's been running the Mueller investigation. And, because all great, wonderful things come out of the state of Ohio, it was, of course, the U.S. Congress member Jim Jordan from Ohio that led the charge on that one.
Hasn't he been under investigation recently, or at least like under fire about something to do with Ohio State and like wrestling and sexual assault charges?
You are correct.
Oh.
Maybe wanted to change the story there a little bit.
Oh, well, I know what's going on.
Bait and switch.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So Jim Jordan has long been kind of the leader of the Ohio and the national kind of Tea Party Freedom Caucus, crazy right wing of the Republican Party that created Donald Trump and the ridiculously we live in now.
Thanks 2010 midterms where nobody voted.
Mm-hmm. Don't do that again this year, please. So he was a wrestling coach at Ohio State for many years before he moved into Congress. And
I would never vote for a coach. I'm just going to put that out there. If I see that you were a coach of any sport, I'll be like, nope.
I feel like maybe if he did other things, but I don't really know what else he did first. Of course, I don't know his resume that well, but like, I don't know that it's.
My connotation with coaches are not pleasant, so I wouldn't really just like any coach ever. I'm like, I'm not voting for you. You do something weird in your off time.
So while he was there was I think it's a physician. So
I think it's like the U.S. gymnastics team scandal.
Yeah,
so I think it is. I think
it was a physician that worked with that team and a whole bunch of other teams, like the U.S. gymnastics scandal, a whole bunch of other teams as well at Ohio State and other places. That is now.
He don't work there no more.
No,
actually, isn't he dead?
Yeah, he's actually dead. He is no longer with us. But now it's coming out that for years and years and years he was allowed to molest and sexually abuse players on the teams that he was supposed to be the physician for.
And it's not just one student that had come forward. Like there were multiple students corroborating the student story, saying no, he definitely knew. He's talking out of his ass. He knew.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and he's been really not good at responding about it too, by saying things like, oh, it's totally fine for the physician for the team to shower in a group shower with all of the players. It's a totally fine thing to do.
Again, if you're a coach, you're weird in your off time, and I'm not voting for you.
No, I don't know that most other coaches would agree with that statement.
I certainly hope not.
So he definitely is, not well handling this, and hasn't really denied much of anything. Kind of the non-denial denials.
Yeah, not really the expert on ethics, right?
If you ignore it, it'll go away. That's not really how this works right now.
No.
So what is what are the grounds of this impeachment that he,
I kind of wonder, is there are there anti-Semitic undertones to this impeachment? That's kind of what I want to know.
Yeah, I don't. Let's see here.
I mean, there's plenty of dog whistling in this administration,
Yes.
especially as I know as far as like racist dog whistles and even anti-Semitic. I thought we were like way past it. No, we're not.
Not even close.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I think part of it is that so the story says they argued, so it was actually Mark Meadows and Jim Jordan, and argued that he should be removed because of the Justice Department's stonewalling of congressional subpoenas and his hand in Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act warrant renewals for the Trump campaign foreign policy advisor Carter Page. So again, it's this whole idea that they improperly got those FISA warrants to get information on the Trump campaign. But it's not like the Justice Department fills out the form and just gets to do it. They decide on their own. It would go before a judge with evidence behind it. And I'm not a fan of the FISA warrants because I'm not quite sure. I don't really like a lot of those kinds of portions of the Patriot, quote unquote, Patriot Act that was passed. But I mean, they had set pretty high standards on what those, because these are secret warrants that nobody knows about. It's a secret judge, a secret proceeding. Nothing is ever entered into public record on these until like they are actually out of the warrant period. And that's why we are starting to see some of these warrant renewals. But yeah, so they're now claiming that the judge and everybody, I guess, was in on, trying to take Trump down. Yeah.
I feel like if that was the case, how did this man manage to get as far as he did?
Mm-hmm.
If everybody was against him, why is he where he is?
Yeah. But it's really, the real reason, these are stated reasons.
Yeah,
the real reason is because he's running the Mueller investigation and they want that to end. And if they can get rid of Rosenstein, then they can stop the Mueller investigation from ever releasing anything.
Do you think, this is a dumb question. Do you think Trump is what the Tea Party wanted when they were going out in 2010? Like, they just an overhaul of anything having to do with American, political norms?
I think really, yes.
Yeah.
They really wanted to, and this is why, I just shake my head and roll my eyes at everybody who's like, the government's so dysfunctional. I was like, yeah, the Tea Party got a whole bunch of people who don't actually believe in government to be a part of the government. And you wonder why is it a standstill?
Yeah.
This is why. You can't elect people to Congress who don't believe Congress should do anything and then expect Congress to do something. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a complete dismantling of our political system. So, and this was planned. This is exactly what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Hey guys, vote in midterms.
Yeah. Please. Please vote. You vote. Get your friends to vote.
Everybody should vote.
Vote early. You're done and ready, and then you can get other people to come and vote. And
have a vote party.
Yes.
Take off work. Go vote.
Also check your registration.
Yes. 100% check your registration.
And over again.
Something happened in Georgia where they just deleted a bunch of registrations. Just bye.
Yeah. Well, there's actually a case on that. And we can talk about it at a future show when I actually have the information in front of me. But there was Husted, who's running to be the lieutenant governor of Ohio, by the way. So remember that for a second. Yes. And but Husted actually purged a bunch of voters out of the Ohio voter rolls, and the ACLU and Legal Women Voters and a whole bunch of other people sued to block that purge. And in one of the other bad Supreme Court cases that came out this year, we lost that case. Luckily, we are too close to this year's election, so technically he's not allowed to put that purge through this time. Doesn't mean he won't try. So again, check your registration. And
have you moved recently? Update your registration.
Yes, update your registration. And if you haven't voted in a while and you want to kind of keep your registration, voting this year is the perfect way to make sure that you don't get purged as well. So check that you're still there, re-register if you're not, vote this year so your registration keeps going. And we'll talk about the purge stuff some other time. But there's a quick
I do love talking about the Georgia election. So
there you go. So yeah, that's one thing happening at the federal level. And then we saw also out of Ohio's is he the junior? Is he newer than?
Yes.
Yeah, he's junior
Oh yeah,
senator.
The junior senator.
Yes, because the senior senator is the fabulous Sherrod Brown.
Yes.
The Ohio's junior senator Rob Portman wrote an op-ed this week supporting Brett Kavanaugh.
Bobby Portman
Supporting Brett.
Fucking Brett.
Yes.
Mhm.
So in his little op-ed, it's actually really funny. Several people have written to him and posted his response.
Is it always the same letter?
It's always the same letter, and it
Okay.
actually almost identically mirrors this op-ed. There's a little bit more like substance in this op-ed, but like, the first sentence where it's like, for Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy, when he announced he was stepping down, there's a lot of discussion about what kind of person should replace him. Many people said it should be someone smart and widely respected who has a lot of judicial experience. Others said it should be someone fair and impartial who understands the proper role of the court is not to legislate from the bench. Judge Brett Kavanaugh meets all of those criteria and then some. Brett, I'm glad the president nominated him. So, like, how much more cozy to Donald Trump can Rob Portman be in that one?
Just up his butt.
Yes. So, yeah, he talks about how Judge Brett Kavanaugh is a legal scholar, a judge who respects and adheres to the Constitution, and a good man.
I don't care.
I think he's a type of person we need serving on the Supreme Court of the United States, dealing with the tough issues the court will address that affect Ohioans and Americans everywhere.
Maybe it's just me, but I don't really believe that Rob Portman and I have the same standards for what constitutes a good man.
Yeah.
Somebody who parades around his daughters, right? Is like,
and his
I
wife.
Protect, yeah.
I'm a carpool dad.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm sorry, but I have daughters, and a wife is like, I have black friends.
Literally everybody comes from a woman.
Uh-huh.
Literally everybody.
Yes.
It's the lowest bar. You didn't even clear that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and obviously, Portman is not agreeing with like the majority of Americans. New polling came out this week that said 71%.
It was higher than 70.
Yeah, of Americans did not want to see Roe overturned. And that included even 52% of Republicans. So more than half of Republicans don't even want to see Roe overturned.
I mean, just because they're not going to be out and proud pro-choice Republicans doesn't mean they don't exist.
Yeah.
So,
well, and I think as Kelly Copeland talks about all the time, we're now in this world where, like before, when the Supreme Court was knocking down all the bad stuff and, was protecting abortion access to a degree.
Yeah, they're going to have to reckon with the world without it.
Yeah, they're actually now facing the fact that like this, I believe abortion should be illegal and women, they should go to jail, might actually happen. And I gotta think that there are some people with some level of empathy and moral humanity.
I mean, he is hoping.
Yeah, that would say, you know what, maybe I really don't want that actually to happen. Like, it sounds good in this utopian like world that we were just gabbing about, but
I mean, for people who seem to care so much about their mothers and daughters, that only applies until it's like, oh wait, that mother or daughter could have had an abortion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and all of these folks have money.
Yes.
Their daughters, their wives, their mistresses, their whoever will always have access to abortion because they will be able to fly to New York or wherever.
Is putting it in the Constitution.
Yep.
And Tennessee just did it, didn't they? Or was it just introduced?
Introduced.
Still impressive because it's Tennessee.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Rob Portman, I mean, we all knew where Rob Portman was going to end up on this. I mean, Ohio's not one of those states where it's questionable which way our two senators are going to vote.
It's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Well, again, with the kind of like, if this comes to fruition, if this is something that they're actually wanting, that gives them one less thing to kind of lord over their base voters.
Yeah.
And
what will they do if abortion access is lost in the United States? Like, what can they still, I mean, other than xenophobia, I guess.
I mean, that's really powerful, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that little thing.
We laugh, but we also cry.
Just racism.
Just racism. Continuously racism. But I also think it's also interesting when you start talking about empathy and like sisters and daughters and mothers. So Rob Portman changed his mind supposedly on gay marriage when his son was gay and wanted to get married. He's got a daughter too. So I'm also really glad to know that Rob Portman believes his son's marriage is worth protecting, but his daughter's health care is not worth protecting. So go Rob.
His mother would also be disappointed.
Yes, I hope.
Because we know exactly where Kavanaugh is on abortion
Yes.
access. I mean, it's it's not a shock at all or surprise. Even though they, I won't be surprised if they try to downplay the Roe
Mhm.
issue as much as possible. But like, we know exactly where he is. I mean, he was trying to block access to an undocumented immigrant
Minor.
minor
Yes.
from getting an abortion.
She's
So-
not old enough to make this life-changing decision.
What?
Having a kid's not a life-changing
Oh.
decision, Kelly Freeman, is it?
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't been to work in 2 weeks.
Yes. Yay, germy babies.
Hand, foot, and mouth disease, not the same as foot and hoof and mouth disease.
disease.
Not the same thing.
Not the same thing.
I learned that today. Like, yeah.
Hashtag the things you learned in the
Yeah.
NARAL office.
Yep.
You know,
I am not a livestock, and neither is my son.
no, at least not yet in the eyes of the law.
Oh,
Wasn't it? I can't remember what. There was a state. No, it was North Carolina did it with a motorcycle bill. There was another one like Oklahoma or one of those states that actually did like try to regulate abortion through an agriculture bill.
Oh, right.
Oh.
That was many years ago.
It was many years ago, but
Yeah.
that's where my brain goes when you start talking about not being livestock. I was like, well, actually, a state did actually regulate women as livestock once, but you know,
Cool.
yay. So yeah, so Rob Portman sucks as usual. I mean, that's just
he's not
kind
up
of-
for election or re-election, so we can just talk as much crap about him as we want.
Yes, he is not
Bobby Portman.
Don't again, like let's see, but the Bobby name gives me into like Bobby Hagen, who's an amazing,
Mhm.
wonderful
Fine.
person. but
Robert.
there you go. You can have
Robert
Robert.
Portman.
So yeah, so definitely
Robbie's definitely a douche name. Can I say douche on the radio?
I think so. I don't think
Okay.
it's a You also cursed earlier, and I think that's one of the allowable cuss words too.
Oh, I
So,
don't
'cause
think it was.
it stands for donkey, I think, because the female dog cuss word that I don't like using in general is also an allowable curse word because it is a female dog.
Cool.
But the sh blank t one is not. So yeah, go
Hey,
figure.
Hey, Gabe.
Yeah. So yeah, when we did this a couple weeks ago without him, his first text back was, "Did anybody cuss?" And I was like,
Probably.
I don't think so.
Probably.
but I don't know. Don't ask me these questions. It's like I paid attention. So yeah, back
What's
on-
coming out of my mouth?
So back on the SCOTUS. So when Kagan was up and had this huge long case history, just like Kavanaugh did, Mitch McConnell came out and said, we've got to see every single one of her documents. We have to review every one of the documents before we can have the vote. So Mitch McConnell now needs to hold that same standard. So we need to wait until all those documents are reviewed and we really have a good idea of exactly how he stands in all of the issues. Because it is interesting. I mean, a lot of the kind of more fringe crazy antis are pulling up video of Kavanaugh's confirmation hearing to the lower court.
Mhm.
And in that, he's asked about Roe. And in that video, he talks about how Roe was precedent and those kinds of things. But as a lower court, you have to follow Supreme Court precedent in a way that you don't have to follow it when you're actually a judge on the Supreme Court. So in a position trying to get a job on the Court of Appeals in a district court, that is the answer you have to give because you can't be an appeals court judge going, yeah, I'm going to overturn precedent because that's not your job.
That seems weird.
Mhm.
And I can't imagine he would end up on that list without that. I mean,
Oh,
that's
no, I
something
mean, he
that the
promised.
president promised. The vice
Mhm.
president has been working for
Yeah.
his entire career. Like that is
Yeah.
everything.
And the Heritage Foundation like looked at the list and approved the list that Trump put together. So
Yeah. Or created it. Yeah.
yeah, probably created it because I don't think it came out of Trump.
No. No.
There are too many like rational, reasonable, not rational and reasonable
like,
on
"No,
issues,
no,
but like
mm."
actual like semi-qualified people.
Yeah.
That have like actual like qualifications. They aren't Rudy Giuliani. Because he was actually also floated for this job. So
I don't understand how that man acquired so much power.
I don't know either, but yeah.
9/11.
Yeah, 9/11. He
Yeah.
was America's mayor.
You know what? If we're basing who should have jobs on 9/11, we should give Steve Buscemi the. He was a firefighter during 9/11. He was a teenage firefighter, and he went back and fought.
I don't even know where you're going with
don't know
this,
what
so
you're
I
talking
am
about.
going to move on from
Fine.
this conversation.
I'm just saying, Supreme Court Justice Steve Buscemi is less ridiculous to me right now.
Okay. That I can understand. But as we're talking about all this Roe and everybody's, talking about what would happen if Roe were to be overturned or gutted, and restrictions increase, we start thinking about the people that you deal with all the time that actually it doesn't matter that Roe is still in existence now because they already live in this kind of post Roe gutting world.
Yeah. So the people we serve, are folks that don't have the means, they don't have the means to access abortion, because abortion costs money and it's not covered by insurance. It's certainly not covered by Medicaid in Ohio. And so if you can't, and with fewer and fewer clinics, you have to travel much further, right? And then there are waiting periods. And if people can't make it out of their community, it doesn't matter if it's necessarily in an hour away. If you don't have transportation out of your community, if you don't have somebody to watch your kid twice, because most people who have abortions have children, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have if you're kind of later on, if you can't stay overnight in a place, you don't have access. So this is just going to the nearest city with an abortion clinic is just as far as going to New York.
Yeah.
And these are just as many hurdles. And so, it is, pulling those funds together. It is arranging rides, trying to get somebody into the kind of deep in the kind of rural part of Appalachian, Ohio kind of thing, to pick somebody up, take them all the way to the nearest clinic. They can see them.
In Southeastern Ohio's never had an abortion clinic.
No.
So they've always had to go far.
Yeah. So they've essentially, if you live in Appalachian, Ohio, it's been, 1971.
Yeah.
Forever.
And I feel like West Virginia may have had more access.
So West Virginia does actually cover Medicaid will cover abortions, but they only have one clinic. And so their clinic, it's completely, it just is full all the time.
Yeah.
Right. And then in addition, that's difficult enough. And also West Virginia is trying to make that overturn that.
Yeah.
And take that away from folks. And it's,
West Virginia was always kind of the beacon of hope in this 5-state area because it's got kind of that libertarian bent of don't screw with me and I won't screw with you. Kind of like Montana also has very kind of liberal abortion laws. And for a state that you think of as very conservative, you wouldn't necessarily think that it would therefore have liberal abortion laws. And West Virginia was kind of that same way.
I feel like West Virginia is a weird state because it's a state that has definitely been ravaged by the GOP in a way that a lot of other states haven't, because they have such a high coal presence. And I mean the way that was a lucrative business or a lucrative field for people was strong union presence. So I think the GOP has done a lot of damage specifically in West Virginia.
For sure. So, and I think it's really important, Ohio, we haven't lost an entire city yet.
No.
We've managed to hold on to Toledo. We've managed to hold on in Cincinnati and in Dayton so far. But even with then, we've lost half of the clinics. So Columbus used to have 4. Cleveland used to have 4. Akron used to have 2. All of those, Toledo had 2. Cincinnati had 2. All of those cities have lost half of their abortion providers. So even with clinics still existing in an area, they can't handle all of the patient load. So people are having to travel.
So people are having to travel and they're having to wait. And the longer you have to wait to get an abortion, the more expensive it gets. And it's that compounding, those compounding issues. And so many times, especially the folks who are after 20 weeks, right? And who are affected by our 20-week ban, we then have to, we have to send them into the East Coast. And that happens so quickly. If you think about it, it's not a high percentage of folks, but these are the folks that are, who have been trying to find somebody or trying to pull together the funds to do this, and they just haven't been able to, or in issues of health issues or fetal anomaly kind of things. So, But I mean, those are real high need cases. So like thousands and thousands of dollars, and overnight accommodations and transportation there to and from, and food when you're traveling,
and childcare.
And childcare, yeah. Who's gonna watch the kids for those like 4 days that you're gone? You know, and kind of the complications involved in. I mean, sometimes people don't have credit cards. When you're in poverty, you oftentimes don't have credit. And
it's really hard to travel without a credit card.
It's
nearly impossible to travel.
Nearly impossible, because you have to have a credit card when you show up at a hotel. You have to give them a credit card to have your room incidentals.
And you have to be 21.
And you have to be 21 or to rent a car.
Once.
Yeah. You have to rent a car. You have to have not only do you have to have a credit card, if you don't have a credit card, you can technically put down your debit card, which doesn't count as a credit card in most of these cases. And then beyond that, then they do a credit check. If you put down your credit card, if you put down your debit card, you might have the money in there, but then they do a credit check. And if you don't pass the credit check, you can't travel. Right. And so you have to have your friends and family do it for you. And if that doesn't work, because none of your friends and family, meet those qualifications, how do you travel? Or like plane travel, like traveling on, you have to have baggage, you have to have like so many things. And it's all of these compounding issues that make it so difficult to do that kind of practical support part of our work. And we're having to do that more and more and more as waiting periods are getting longer, as more folks are. And let's also, like, as contraceptive access gets less, as fewer people, as more of our social safety nets are crumbling, more people need abortions. And
the facts.
If you can't afford an abortion, you sure as hell can't afford a child.
And our social safety nets are not helping in that case, and so people are making these decisions because they have to, right? And it's getting harder.
And I hadn't connected these two things in my head yet, but by 2020, you're not going to be able to fly on an airplane out of any state without like the real ID, like super driver's license,
which is a nightmare if you're a married woman,
or
have changed your name at all.
So anybody who's changed their name has like a million extra hurdles, and so they're still going to offer like the basic driver's license, like if you don't think you're ever going to fly on a plane. And I'm going to guess that if I'm a poor person and I'm choosing between this $50 driver's license and this, I don't know how much it is, but $100 driver's license, and like the only difference is I can get on a plane with one, I'm not gonna pick the one I can get on an airplane with.
And it's about the people that can't have it mailed to them. Right? Like you also have an address. If you don't have an address, and so many people we serve also don't have an address. They are homeless.
That was the weirdest thing about moving to Ohio. Is like in South Carolina, if I lose my license, I can go on like the website and order it, and it'll be mailed to my house. That is not a thing here. Or it means, I guess maybe it will be now, because you can't even like get your like license when you like are at the DMV, as you call it here.
Doesn't make sense. I know.
I was like, B. Okay.
In Michigan, it's the Secretary of State's office. It's even weirder.
All right.
It's also like contracted out here to private companies. So.
What?
Oh, you didn't know that?
Because the Republicans privatize everything.
Yeah. Have you not noticed?
I did not know that. That's so dumb.
Oh, yeah. These are private companies.
Why is South Carolina doing things better than Ohio? I don't understand. I also wanted to bring up in the Midwest, there is less access than in the South, which I saw that and I was surprised as somebody who was from the South. South Carolina is not a big state. There's only 3 clinics there. I think there's like 3.
I believe you're right.
One in each of them 3 major cities, so Charleston, Columbia, and Greenville. So it's weird to me that like 3 clinics is good. I mean, I guess because per capita, because of the population, it's there's a better spread of abortion clinics in the South compared to the Midwest. And I kind of,
at least the coastal South, the deep South. That's a whole other issue.
That's true. Why do you think that is? I mean, is it because it's more of a hot button issue? Like Ohio is a swing state, and I'm gonna go to my grave saying that it is a swing state, coming from the South. So I think it has to do with like it's more of a hot button issue, and like I don't think there was a single abortion bill passed when I was in college in South Carolina, not a single one. So to come to Ohio, it was just like, why is this such an issue when it's not in South Carolina?
Well, it's an issue that they've so used to galvanize voters.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and in the South,
You don't have to.
it's a bit more. It's a bit more of the kind of stay out of my business stuff.
Mhm.
And here it's it's kind of deep Bible Belt kind of evangelical mega churches that are that are obviously growing in the South, but like,
oh, they're there.
oh yeah, no, definitely. But
I think it's just
a different kind of evangelicism, and it's a honestly, like any of this stuff, it's about power, right?
Yeah, it's about power and politics. I
Yeah.
mean, the Republicans have a stranglehold on the South, so they didn't have to prove themselves in the South the way they did in Ohio and Indiana and Kentucky and all those places. Like here, they had to use abortion as a way to galvanize voters to get them to move over to their side. So they had to do something to prove where they stood on things, and that was pass ridiculous amounts of bills. So, yeah.
So they're trying to turn the Midwest into the South and doing it in the weirdest way possible.
Yes.
And like there's nothing. There's also something to say that like the South is more diverse.
Oh yeah,
and this is not an issue
absolutely.
that, I mean, and in Ohio, very much more diverse. And and voters, people of color voters, aren't like they're not down with like regulating bodies.
They're still very
be honest. Yeah,
they're still very much disenfranchised. But I think, as a Southerner, I have hope for the South that maybe it'll be the swing states of the future, and I'll be getting the F out of Ohio and going back to.
I think you. I mean, you saw that in North Carolina and South Carolina last time. You're seeing it in Georgia. I mean,
Mississippi's on track to be the first majority Black state in the union.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
go Mississippi, go.
Yeah.
So on elections, there's a special one coming up in Ohio on August 7th.
I mean, I think all elections are special in my heart.
You don't want to pick favorites.
No, I think you should vote in all of them.
Yes, you should vote in all of them. But like occasionally one springs up on random days, and this is one of them.
So all the elections in Ohio are always in May, August, and November, right? May.
You're a Republican. Yes, they hit up in January. No, actually, in presidential years, we're a March primary state.
Okay.
So in all the presidential years, our primaries in March, but in the non-presidentials, yes, it's in May, and then the specials are in August, and then the general is in November. And I feel like there's a way to do
municipal ones are even weirder.
Yeah, I feel like there's like a secondary municipal special that can happen in the spring too at some point, but those are like really random special occasions. Those are extra special elections, I guess.
I'll give you a gold star if you vote in those, because I don't know when they happen.
But yeah, so in Ohio's 12th Congressional District, we've talked about it before.
Which is not mine, but it is yours. Yes.
Not mine either.
Yeah, you've got the fabulous Joyce Beatty. You can just sit there and be happy.
Stephanie are in the same district for some reason.
Gerrymandering.
Yeah.
No, actually, I had to look this up because my mother called me the other day and she was seeing O'Connor sign and she's like, I feel like I stay pretty up to date, but I don't know what the heck that is. Like, and I was like, I'm pretty sure you're in the 15th, the Stivers district, but let me check if you're saying you're seeing O'Connor signs like on the street that leads to your street. And it's actually, so there's a neighborhood right by in Columbus, and there's a railroad track that runs straight through it, and the railroad track is the congressional boundary. So it splits this neighborhood in half, not even just like in general, but like this neighborhood is split in half into two different congressional districts. So tell me how that's like keeping people together, but whatever. We divulge into
various purposes at all. Yeah.
No. So Danny O'Connor is the Democrat running. He's endorsed by NARAL and Planned Parenthood. He's fabulous. He's amazing. Troy Balderson is the Republican running. He is the exact opposite of that.
That sounds like a fake name you would come up for a fraternity member. Like that just doesn't sound like a real,
like a fraternity bro.
I'm sure he was, but like the name, specifically the name Troy Balderson, is like, oh yeah, one of our founders, Troy Balderson. Okay, sure.
Yeah, so he's bad and yucky. O'Connor is fabulous and wonderful. And actually this week, he tweeted. Yes, exactly. I was combining week and tweet. He tweeted out, today I am standing with NARAL and committing to support legislation that will make abortion available in all 50 states if the Senate confirms any Supreme Court justice who will end Roe versus Wade, criminalize abortion, and abolish the Affordable Care Act.
He said abortion twice in that tweet.
Yes. He's fabulous. So if you are in the 12th Congressional District, we'll put a link in the show notes on how to find out what district you're in. It's just a tiny little like triangular chunk of Franklin County. It includes some of Clintonville.
Oh, okay.
Some of Clintonville's also in the 15th, weirdly. So some of Clintonville, some of Westerville, some Worthington and Dublin, and then up into the surrounding counties. Actually, it goes all the way out to like towards Zanesville. It's a very weird, odd congressional district. So, yeah, it actually when you look at how much space, Franklin County is a small chunk of the actual congressional district. So
I've been to Zanesville. It's a bit different than Clintonville.
just a titch. So yeah. It's where activist mommy used to live, but she doesn't
now she's
anymore.
in the Carolinas.
Yeah.
Get out of my state.
So yeah. So if you are in the 12th Congressional District, August 7th is election day. Early voting is already started. If you're in Franklin County, it's just the normal early vote location on Morris Road. And you need to go out and vote for O'Connor, because I really do think that this is going to kind of set the tone.
And they'll have to revote in November for him again, right?
Yeah, so this is just for the rest of this term. So yeah, he'll be, after election day, after they certify, he will be whoever wins will be the congressman from this district until the end of the year. Danny O'Connor and Troy Balderson will face off again in November to keep the seat from January on. Again, silly election laws that require a special election and a regular election within a couple months of each other. So yeah. So Danny O'Connor's fabulous. Vote for him. Go out and canvass for him. Do fabulous things.
A good Irish name.
Yes, it is. But he's also Franklin County recorder or something like that now too. So he's awesome. So yay. Kelly Freeman, what do you have coming up?
I don't know.
All the things.
All the things. Where are you going tonight?
Oh, tonight I'm going to Toledo to a secret party that no one else is invited to. And by that I mean if you're listening to this podcast, it's too late for you anyway. Haha, nerd. But just to celebrate that we managed to keep Capital Care open. So we're gonna go to Toledo, hang out with a bunch of awesome people who did some awesome work over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't know what else I have coming up. I don't think I have anything planned. I'm just waiting to get my volunteer canvas off the ground. So if you're interested in canvassing, that's happening soon.
Yes.
And then we have secret plans that no one knows about yet. That is also in the works.
Lots of things are in the works. I feel like next week we'll have a nice long list of things.
I'm sure.
On Monday, actually in Cleveland, at the regional office for Attorney General and gubernatorial candidate Mike DeWine, there is a Save Our Healthcare rally. Our fabulous Hannah is going to speak at that, talking about how bad Attorney General DeWine is, how bad Kavanaugh is on overturning the ACA and all the repro health stuff as well.
I've heard there's whispers of that happening here in Columbus.
There might be one. Yeah. So keep your eyes out for one maybe happening in Columbus too.
Can we protest this campaign office?
We can talk about that. It's just on the street from our office. I drive by it every day. It's really annoying.
And it looks poorly done. It's clearly like amateur, hand-drawn nonsense.
They're looking all grassroots, but they're not. We know that.
We know.
And then also, just coming up, August 21st is the next Stand Up for Choice.
Yes.
At Ace of Cups, and that is benefiting FOCO.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So but us and then all of our friends.
Mm-hmm. And actually, if you are listening on this Thursday, July 26th, Stephanie, where are you going tonight? Because tonight's busy.
Yeah, tonight I'm going to Growl in Columbus, and it's the Reproductive Health Happy Hour to benefit Root, our friends at Root, the reproductive justice organization in Columbus. So
yeah, Jay, I felt ambushed when you asked. I was like, I don't know, what am I doing? Where am I going?
And there's so many things. So
usually I know, but I was like, I don't know.
All right, so that's pretty much all we got this week. So,
but seriously, stay tuned.
Right? Yeah,
stay tuned. We'll have
there's so many things happening in August.
Yes, so it will be a busy, crazy month. So
I'm gonna die.
That we need as many people, hands on deck kind
of
thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oof. Well, we'll see everybody next week. Bye.